This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting. Today, I'm very lucky to joined by Jody Kohn. So, Jody, how have you been, mate?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Fred?
Yeah, all good. Just got back from college a few minutes ago. So, you were at the fights last weekend, then covering it for the Mayweather channel or Pro Boxing Insiders.
Yeah, we did the Fury fight, and then we had the Canelo. So been busy the last couple weeks.
And what I find kind of strange in a way is you got a few different channels. You got PB Insiders, and then you got Pro Boxing Insiders. What's how come you have two different channels that you're kind of working on?
Well, no, well, I was talking about YouTube. Yeah, we had two. I was kind of at one time doing two different types of content. They're basically the same thing right now. And again, we're still going to kind of branch them off. Yeah, proboxinginsiders.com, and then you have PB Insiders, and then we have the Mayweather channel. So yeah, we got all three different channels, and yeah, but you can catch us doing everything on all three of them.
Yeah, it's really good to get a lot of content. So, what's your kind of boxing story? How did you kind of get started with all these interviews? Because you're a very busy man.
Yeah, it's probably about 15 years ago now. My ex-wife, she was a news anchor in Panama when she moved out here, and then we moved to Las Vegas. And Jeff Mayweather was training Celestino Caballero, former world champion. And Panamanians, it's a small country, so no matter where they're at in the world, they kind of find each other. So they hooked up. I met Palanchine, and then met Jeff, and I had just moved out here and I wasn't liking what I was doing. So I was like, man, let's do something different. And I talked to Jeff and said, hey, let's start a, website and a YouTube thing and do that. And, he was all for it. And, here we are 15 years later.
Yeah, it's done quite well so far. And how do you kind of balance your work? Because there's a lot of videos going. It's not that well. If you look at the other channels like IFL, Boxing Social, Fight Hype, Fight Hub, they're kind of putting content out maybe sometimes twice a day, three times a day. You kind of upload weekly on those channels. Do you spend most of your time like working with the website then?
Yeah, it's with Pro Boxing Insider and Mayweather channel, it's I'm pretty much a one-man operation. Of course, Jeff, does interviews and stuff, but I'm the one that's uploading stuff and editing and doing everything. Whereas those other channels, usually they have a team, like Fight Hype has, multiple people working for them. IFL, they have a lot of people. So to me, it's a little more difficult because like I said, I'm a one-man shop. So I'm not gifted at editing or all that. It's all kind of OJT for me. So, I do what I can and I do as much as I can, but there's always room for improving and doing more.
Yeah, it seems to be doing quite good so far. And you've got a very kind of unique style of interviewing. You kind of play with devil's advocate, which I think a lot of people do enjoy. I mean, you do see read the comments occasionally, and you do get people going off at you. Obviously, they don't understand the kind of joke. But where do you kind of develop that style of interviewing from?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Even Jeff will get messages on his Instagram and stuff. People, saying, they'll kill me for him, or they want him to beat me up and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of, I know what I'm doing, so I take it with a grain of salt, so I don't get mad. But we get people are so, everything from, yeah, I'm just stupid. I don't know boxing. I'm a kid. I'm racist. I mean, you get all these different things. But it kind of actually first started with Conor McGregor when Conor was fighting Floyd. Before that, I had pretty much been straightforward, but I've always been a pretty sarcastic guy. So I just kept reading all these comments. Floyd's never faced anyone that hits as hard as Conor McGregor. Floyd's never, fought an MMA fighter, never fought someone strong, all this kind of stuff. And I said, I'm just going to so I literally took these comments and I made them into an interview. And I took it to Jeff like that. And it was actually really good because what it did, instead of me just, kissing Jeff's ass and saying, hey, Floyd's going to really beat Conor's butt, huh? And doing that kind of thing, it allowed Jeff to feed off of what I was saying. So it allowed him to get more angry, more animated and come back at me. And that's kind of, something that we developed. So I'll come at him with that, a lot of people like to say devil's advocate, but I like to make it right, rather than saying that someone's, going to have an easy time of it, I'll make it the opposite. There's no way he's going to win. The same thing I did with Logan Paul is going to beat Mike Tyson. Jake Paul will beat Floyd. All these different fights I come at, and then of course, like I said, some people like it and some people don't. But oh well.
Do you kind of pick the people? Because when I do interviews, I kind of know. I watch a load of interviews they've done before. I kind of know how much they talk, how much they don't talk, if they're kind of funny or if they're kind of not a bit timid or not much of a talker. Do you know which way? Because say you're interviewing Jeff and you kind of have the devil's advocate, or if you're interviewing another fighter where maybe they won't take it so well, how do you kind of balance that out? How do you know which fighter to do which style of interviewing with?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these guys that I know pretty well, and I know what I can do with, whether it's, going being sarcastic or not. I mean, Jeff, obviously, Floyd Sr., people like Tiafimo, Derek Brunson, I just met a couple weeks ago, but I did the same thing with him. There's no way that he could possibly beat Jake Paul, but I knew him enough to know that I could come at him like that. But there's other guys that I don't know well or at all, or I know their personality. Someone like say like Terrence Crawford, I would never do that with him because he's a little more serious and we don't have that kind of rapport. So at least at this point, I would never come at him with questions like that. But you definitely need to, you have to be careful because if you want to get access to these people, right? So if I piss somebody off this time, I might never get to interview them again. So I like to have fun, and as it becomes a little more known, my style, that kind of thing, most of the guys will embrace it or have fun with it. But yeah, there's always those guys that are a little more serious and a little more, protective of their image.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. That's quite a good answer, really. But did anything happen? If you don't speak about it, don't cut it out. But did anything happen about that wrestler? You didn't take it so well, the professional wrestler.
Kenny King. That was Kenny's a great guy, great wrestler. That one made the rounds a little bit. Was sarcastic with him. I'll just say a lot of them wrestlers, you're too young to remember, but there was a guy named David Schultz years ago that had the kind of the same response when a reporter was talking to him and slapped him. So it was kind of like that. A lot of those guys are pretty protective of it, but it is what it is. And I was kind of happy to take one for the team.
Yeah, I can see. So I mean, it made for a good video in the day. You got some views. That's what kind of matters. And you're also part of a Jeff Mayweather show, which I quite like listening to. I know you used to have a kind of Mayweather boxing podcast, and now it's kind of turned into the Jeff Mayweather show. That's kind of turned into developed into the semi-annual Jeff Mayweather show. Do you think we'll ever see a time where there's a weekly Jeff Mayweather show?
It should be weekly. It's really difficult with the pandemic and Amer, who puts it together, Amer Abdallah, he's always out of town. Jeff's out of town half the time. And then, Jeff in and out of, not taking care of himself and being sick. So it's supposed to be a weekly show, and hopefully we'll get back to that. And I know a lot of people get pissed at me because, Jeff should be the one, hosting the show and moderating. It's his name. But, Jeff, if you know Jeff, that's not his style. He's not the one that's going to, he's kind of the one that, jumps in and says something funny and that kind of thing. But no, it should definitely be more weekly. We have a lot of fun with it. It's something that's, especially with the pandemic, it's been difficult to do on a weekly basis. But working on one, we're going to get Tiafimo and his dad on before his fight. Talked to them this past weekend. So hopefully we'll have one here in this next week.
Yeah, him and his dad will be quite entertaining. It's quite a good skill. I've always found out that it's quite a good skill hosting things. Because you're right about it's quite good. You've got Jeff on the side, and he'll come on to say a few comments because Jeff's quite a funny character. But what are your kind of favorite types of interviews to do? Because I remember watching a few where you got Jeff and Floyd Sr. and you both do like 10 questions of both. What are your favorite kind of styles of interviews to do and types?
What are my favorite types of interviews?
Well, I mean, like style, like when you interview two people at once, or you do 10 questions, or you do maybe predictions.
Yeah, those are fun, and again, it goes back to the boxers and what style they are. Some people, like I read a couple of comments. Why are you asking Floyd Sr. these stupid kind of questions? Well, Floyd Sr. is obviously a great character, and he's one of my favorite people in boxing. He's a great guy, but Floyd Sr. doesn't sit there and break down boxing. You can't sit there and say, "Hey, Floyd Sr., what do you think about the upcoming match between, Derek Chisora and Joseph Parker or something like that?" You can't do that because he doesn't know. But Floyd will, but he won't say, "I don't know." He'll give an answer. So I try to tailor things, especially when he's with Jeff. I try to put stuff to let them play against each other, because it's nothing more enjoyable than watching them go back and forth and pick on each other. But the one thing I've always tried to do too is not be typical. All these guys get the same questions all the time, especially that fight coming up. How's camp going? How's your weight? How are you going to beat them? So if you could do different styles of questions, you'll get better answers, I think, because it's a break for them. So you kind of got to know who you're dealing with and how much they talk, because some people are very talkative, as some aren't. Some you can literally say, one thing. Ashley Theophane, love him. Britt, when he was out here, you could just say, "Hey, how's it going, Ashley?" And you got a 10-minute interview just from saying that. And then I still remember my first interview. It's out there somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I interviewed Errol Spence after his first win. I asked him 6 questions and it lasted 46 seconds. So it's kind of, and then you're kind of panicking because you don't know what else to ask. So it's definitely a challenge to find out the guys, find out how much they talk. And some of them, love to be interviewed, some don't. Some are sick of, the fifth interview of the day. Some might not like you personally, or, being associated with the Mayweather channel. So, some guys don't like you at all. And that's what's kind of interesting when I interviewed like Jake Paul, for instance, or well, actually Fabulous did. I did a little bit as well. But, someone who's got a history with the Mayweather name, so how is that going to go? That was pretty interesting. So it's definitely a something that you need to try to learn the fighter, learn the reactions, and also the time. Some are better some day than others.
Yeah, speaking actually Fear Phone, I interviewed him a few months ago, and I said, send me an email when you're down at your gym, because obviously he's got the Treasure Boxing gym open. He sent me an email saying, do you want to come down Thursday? So the bike over there. Yeah, just a few more things I want to touch on before I let you go. So when you do the interviews of kind of Jeff and Floyd Senior, I think I was watching one where you go around with Jeff goes around with the microphone, you go around the camera, and you ask one of the questions. I think it was like something like this. I can't remember the few words exactly. It was like, if you're in a dark alley and the three guys are about to attack you, you need to pick two boxes, past and present. Yeah, I don't think you gave your answer, and they were going to attack you, and those guys had to back you. Who would you pick then? I think I'd pick probably Eric Butterbean. He's quite a big guy to be able to fight. And then maybe Prime Mike Tyson. Who would you pick?
Oh, boxers? I don't get no MMA fighters, just boxers.
Yeah.
I might take Ernie Shavers because he's got maybe the hardest puncher of all time. So if you got a bunch of people coming at you, you might want that that one. You don't want the Jeff Mayweather need 14 punches to get him out. You want that one shot knockout power. So yeah, Ernie Shavers, and then yeah, obviously you can never go wrong with Mike Tyson, right? He grew up fighting in the streets anyway, and he's obviously got that great power. So definitely gonna be heavyweights. Yeah, Butterbean can probably just run him over, so that wouldn't be a bad pick. But yeah, I'm definitely going probably heavyweights. Yeah, give me Ernie Shavers and Mike Tyson.
Yeah, they're good ones. You don't want any flyweights or bantamweights because you want to be able to get them out there very fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
someone like a Ricardo Mayorga or someone that's nuts like that. They would they're still gonna punch hard enough to knock out the average guy in one shot, and they're just nuts. So
yeah, I remember him he put his hands down like that against Mosley, and Mosley hit him like 4 or 5 times, bare on the chin. He didn't budge, so it'd be quite good to have him there. But all right, Jody, thanks so much for your time. I always watch the podcast. So where can people find you on social media? You've got anything else coming up?
Yeah, I'm so bad. I always work at promoting everyone else and not me. That's probably why people don't know me that well. But yeah, we do. Hell, you probably know better than me on Instagram, Pro Boxing Insider.
And your own Instagram as well. You got Jody Kohn.
Yeah, well, that's just my personal stuff, though. I don't really put any boxing stuff there. I don't put much on there at all. But yeah, it's basically for my normal friends, and don't put much on there. But yeah, I got that, and then of course, ProBoxingInsider.com website and the YouTube PB Insiders on YouTube, and that's going to kind of evolve. The PB Insider is going to kind of change to the Fabulous is coming over there, and we're going to do a lot of stuff with Bullet, boxing trainer. We'll do a lot of stuff with his guys on there. So that's going to kind of change soon. And then of course, the Mayweather channel, which is, the central focus right now on YouTube. And that's also, we're going to have that website. It's going to be coming up soon too, Mayweather channel.
Channel.com. Yeah, but what about the merchandise? The merchandise for Jeff Mayer? Because I remember Jeff Mayer had those t-shirts with like Jeff Mayer in the house, the orange thing here.
Yeah, I made that. And I actually have my machine right here, and I'm actually working on that right now. So in the next week to 2 weeks max, we'll be launching all kinds of stuff. All kinds of Jeff Mayweather merchandise, Mayweather channel merchandise, all that kind of stuff. So, and different boxing shirts and other things. So yeah, look out for that. Been a little slow on that, but yeah, I made that Mayweather Jeff Mayweather in the house. People love that shirt. So we have those up.
So right now I'm 17, and next year I'm 18. I think it'll be finished high school for the US version. I'm in college. So next year I'm gonna come to Las Vegas, July, August time. So can you make sure you put a couple of those Jeff Mayer in the house t-shirts aside then, Jody?
We'll do that, and we'll have a couple for you. Maybe we'll make a Fred's in the house too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there you go. We can make anything.
Awesome.
We'll put some aside for sure.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Jody. We'll catch up soon then, mate. Thanks for your time.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Best of luck to you.